Let's get something straight from the beginning. When you walk away from a woman, it's not just an action, it's a statement. Most men fear that leaving means losing everything. But here's the truth. Sometimes your silence and absence carry more weight than your words or presence ever could. Female psychology is complex. Women may act as if they don't care when you step back, but deep down, they feel it in ways that shake them to their core. Your departure doesn't just remove you, it forces her to face herself. This is why walking away is one of the most powerful moves you can make. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That is exactly what this is about. Power, control, self-respect. When you know how to walk away, you stop being the man who chases and start being the man who chooses. In this journey, I'll show you exactly what a woman feels when you're gone and why that feeling can elevate you or break you. So subscribe to this channel, open your mind, and prepare yourself, because today I'm going to hold a mirror up to your masculinity. But before we start, listen carefully. What you see here in my channel is just a preview, not the full picture. If you really want to master the dating game and learn how modern relationships actually work, don't waste time. Rush right now to stoicapproachtolife.com/join now, or go to my description and click the link below and unlock the real strategies, the real teachings, the real results. Don't just watch, level up today. So let's get started. 1. The shock of your absence. When you walk away, the first thing a woman feels is shock. Don't underestimate this. She may act calm on the outside, she may even pretend like she expected it, but deep inside, she feels the sudden absence of your energy. For women, connection isn't just about physical presence. It's about the psychological certainty that you are orbiting around her. The moment you withdraw, that orbit is broken, and the silence you leave behind is deafening. Here's the truth. Women are far more sensitive to emotional shifts than men. They notice the tiniest details, the time it takes you to respond, the energy in your voice, the distance in your touch. So when you completely walk away, it feels like an earthquake under her feet. And here's the twist. Sometimes that shock is exactly what forces her to see your value. Ask yourself this. Why do you think Marcus Aurelius spoke about detachment with such calm wisdom? He wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Walking away is often a man's silent declaration of truth. You don't need to explain, justify, or beg. You simply remove yourself, and that act alone echoes louder than 1,000 arguments. Think about it. How many men stay chained in relationships where they are disrespected, thinking if they just hold on tighter, she'll finally see their worth? But what if your true worth is only revealed in your absence? What if the respect you're craving is not something she gives you when you stay, but something she realizes when you leave? Women test men constantly. Sometimes, without even knowing it. They want to feel if you're strong enough to be alone, to live without her validation. The moment you walk away, she feels the test snapping back at her. That's why the shock cuts deep. It forces her to confront a reality she wasn't prepared for. So my question to you is this. Are you strong enough to endure the silence after you leave? Can you withstand the emptiness without rushing back just to ease her discomfort, or worse, your own? Because the men who break in that silence lose all their power. The men who stand firm, they etch themselves into her mind forever. 2. The pull of curiosity. After the initial shock wears off, curiosity begins to take over. She starts asking herself questions she never thought she would. Why did he leave? What is he doing without me? Has he found peace, joy, or even someone else? This curiosity is powerful because it feeds on silence. The less you reveal, the more her imagination runs wild. Understand this. Human beings are wired to seek closure, and women, with their deeply emotional nature, crave answers when something feels unresolved. By walking away without a desperate explanation, you create a mystery that she cannot easily ignore. Think of Epictetus, who taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your walking away isn't the final act. It's the discipline of not reacting after you've walked away that magnifies your strength. This is where most men fail. They leave, but then they peek back, they check in, they stalk her social media, they send late-night texts to see if she still cares. That kills the mystery instantly because it shows you're still orbiting around her. But the man who disappears into silence, who continues to live fully, who focuses on his work, his mission, his health, that man becomes unforgettable. Let me hit you with a question. When was the last time you truly committed to your growth after a breakup? Did you use that space to rise higher? Or did you use it to chase her shadow? Because here's the truth. Her curiosity is only as strong as your ability to live without needing her validation. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. If you waste your energy waiting for her to notice you, you've already lost. But if you invest that energy into becoming more disciplined, more focused, more powerful, her curiosity will transform into respect. She will feel the gap between who you were when you walked away and who you've become since, and that gap will haunt her far more than your absence alone. The question is, are you willing to let her wonder? Or will you rush back and ruin the power of silence? 3. The weight of regret. There comes a moment after curiosity when regret begins to creep in. This is one of the most powerful emotions a woman feels when you walk away. She may have thought she could replace you easily, that her options were endless, that she held all the cards. But when you step back with dignity and self-control, she starts comparing. She notices the men who come after you don't hold the same composure, the same calmness, the same silent strength you carried. Regret is born in those comparisons. She remembers the way you carried yourself, the times you showed patience, the sacrifices you made, the presents you gave. At first, she might deny it to herself, telling her friends she's better off, pretending she doesn't care. But regret always whispers in the quiet moments. When she's alone, when she sees something that reminds her of you, when she realizes that the grass she thought was greener is actually dry and lifeless. This is the point where many men make a fatal mistake. They hear through the grapevine that she regrets it, that she misses them, and they rush back with open arms. But Stoicism teaches us something different. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Her regret is not your victory. Your victory is your ability to remain unshaken by it. Because if you go running back the moment she feels the weight of loss, you haven't truly walked away. You've just been waiting outside the door. Real walking away means you don't hinge your worth on whether she regrets losing you. Your worth is already intact, with or without her acknowledgement. Now let's get real. How many times in history have we seen men collapse at the return of a woman's regret? Kings, leaders, even ordinary men with great potential, undone because they couldn't resist when a woman finally said, "I made a mistake." Think of Antony and Cleopatra. Antony was a man of power, a general of Rome. But his inability to walk away from Cleopatra's pull became his downfall. His empire crumbled because he valued her validation more than his mission. Are you willing to risk your empire, your future, your goals, your peace, for the temporary satisfaction of her regret? Let me ask you another hard question. If she came back today, tearful and full of apologies, Would you have the strength to say, "I've moved on to something greater"? Or would you collapse into her arms, erasing all the power you gained in your absence? This is where modern men must learn discipline. Regret is not proof of love. Regret is often proof of realization. She realizes what she lost, but that doesn't mean she is ready to honor it. Your role as a man is not to chase her regret, but to build a life so full, so strong, that her regret has no effect on your path. Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." That applies here. Her regret may make you imagine a fantasy where everything becomes perfect if you reunite. But the reality is different. If she didn't respect you when you were present, her regret alone will not change her character. So remember this: her regret is not the prize. The prize is the man you become by not needing her regret to validate your decision. Walking away isn't just about leaving her. It's about entering into a deeper mastery of yourself. The weight of regret belongs to her, not you. Do not pick it up. Instead, let her carry it while you walk forward, lighter, freer, and more powerful than before. 4. The sting of respect. When you walk away, something begins to shift in her heart that is even deeper than shock, curiosity, or regret. It's respect. And here's the paradox. She may not show it. She might not admit it to you, or even to herself, but deep down she cannot deny the strength it takes for a man to step away when things no longer serve his peace, his dignity, or his purpose. Respect doesn't always come when you please her, when you do everything she asks, when you bend over backward to meet her every need. Often, true respect is born in the fire of absence. Women are wired to admire strength, and nothing demonstrates strength more clearly than restraint. Think of Marcus Aurelius again. If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. A man who knows when to endure and when to walk away shows wisdom beyond emotion. You didn't leave out of pettiness. You didn't storm away in anger. You made a decision rooted in calm self-control. That is the kind of strength that commands respect long after you're gone. Now let me give you a raw truth. Many women will never fully respect the man who refuses to walk away. Why? Because he becomes predictable. He becomes her safety net, her fallback option. If she knows no matter how much she pushes, no matter how far she disrespects, you'll always stay, she will subconsciously lose respect for you. And once respect is gone, attraction follows. Epictetus put it perfectly. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Walking away is the purest expression of freedom. You're showing her, and yourself, that you will not be chained to something beyond your control, her moods, her choices, or her validation. Here's the question you need to wrestle with. Do you want her to like you, or do you want her to respect you? Because those are not the same thing. She may like the man who bends over backward, but she will respect the man who sets boundaries and holds them. Respect may sting her pride at first, because your absence forces her to face her own behavior. But in time, that sting transforms into admiration. She may say, "He was the only one strong enough not to tolerate my games." Do you realize how powerful that is? Let's look at history for a moment. The Stoic general Cato the Younger was known for his refusal to compromise his principles, even when it cost him friendships and alliances. He walked away from deals, from power plays, from anything that violated his integrity. His enemies may not have liked him, but they respected him fiercely. In the same way, when you walk away from a woman not out of bitterness, but out of integrity, you etch your image in her memory with the permanence of respect. Here's the trap, though. Many men mistake pity for respect. A woman may come back saying, I miss you, or I need you. But that does not mean she respects you. True respect is silent. It shows in the way she speaks of you when you're not around, in the way she thinks twice before crossing the line with another man, in the way your absence weighs heavier than someone else's presence. If you walk away with dignity, you earn that kind of respect, whether she voices it or not. So I'll leave you with this piercing question. When she looks back at you, will she say you were a man who clung out of fear, or a man who walked away with strength? Because one earns sympathy, but the other earns respect. And respect is the foundation of everything lasting between a man and a woman. 5. The burn of desire. Once respect sets in, something else follows almost inevitably: desire. And this is where female psychology gets fascinating. When you walk away, your absence doesn't just create space, it creates longing. The very fact that she cannot have you easily makes her want you more. This is the paradox of human nature. We often crave most the thing we cannot control. Women are no different. In fact, for many women, desire grows in proportion to distance. The less available you are, the more her mind races to imagine what it would be like to have you back. This isn't manipulation, it's simple psychology. Scarcity increases value. A man who can walk away becomes scarce, and that scarcity ignites desire. Let's connect this to the Stoics. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." When you cling to a woman who no longer respects you, you waste time. But when you invest in yourself and your growth, you don't just waste less, you become more. And in becoming more, you inevitably become more desirable. She begins to notice you don't need her validation. You don't chase. You don't beg. You've channeled your energy into building a stronger body, a sharper mind, a clearer mission. That kind of independence is magnetic because it signals that you are a man with purpose, not a man who orbits around her. Think about modern examples. How often do we see men who seem invisible suddenly glow up after they walk away from a toxic relationship? They start dressing better, earning more, living freer. And then suddenly, the woman who thought she could do better starts calling, texting, or showing up again. Why? Because desire is fueled by transformation. You walking away created the space for her to feel the burn of missing you, but your growth keeps that fire alive. Now here's the catch. Desire without respect is just lust. It fades quickly, but desire rooted in respect, that's different. That's the kind of desire that makes her restless at night. The kind that makes her measure other men against your standard. The kind that doesn't go away easily. And that only happens when you walk away with strength, not with bitterness. If you storm out in anger, she may feel relief. But if you walk away calmly, purposefully, she feels the burn of wanting what she can no longer have. So let me ask you this. What kind of man are you becoming while she feels that burn? Are you the man who sits by the phone, waiting for her to call? Or are you the man who's out there creating a life so rich that even if she never calls, you're still winning? Because her desire means nothing if you don't keep moving forward. The fire she feels when you walk away is not for you to chase. It's for her to wrestle with. Your role is to keep building, to keep living, to keep being the man who doesn't just inspire desire, but commands it. 6. The mirror of self-doubt. As desire burns within her, something else starts to creep into her mind: self-doubt. This is one of the deepest emotions a woman feels when a man truly walks away. She begins to question herself in ways she never did before. Was she not good enough? Did she push too far? Did she take you for granted? These questions replay in her mind like a song on repeat, and the more she tries to silence them, the louder they become. Understand this. When you walk away with dignity, You don't just remove yourself from her life, you hold up a mirror. That mirror forces her to confront her own actions, her own flaws, her own mistakes. Now, here's where the Stoics come in again. Epictetus said, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." That is exactly what happens to her in this stage. She starts imagining scenarios, worrying about what you think of her, fearing that you've judged her as unworthy. This self-doubt is powerful because it flips the script. Suddenly, she's the one seeking validation, not you. And in that moment, the balance of power shifts. But here's the critical point you must understand. Your role is not to exploit her self-doubt. Too many men think that once she starts doubting herself, it's the perfect time to swoop back in and reclaim her. That is weakness disguised as strategy. A strong man knows that her self-doubt is her battle, not his. If you rush back, you relieve her of the very pressure that could have helped her grow. Instead, you must stay rooted, continue your path, and let her wrestle with her reflection. Because true change in a woman does not happen because you explain her faults to her. It happens when she sees them clearly for herself. History gives us an example in Marcus Aurelius himself. As emperor, he faced betrayal, loss, and disloyalty, yet he never begged for loyalty or forced others to see his worth. He lived by principle, and those who failed him were left to face the mirror of their own actions. You must do the same. Walk away and let her feel the weight of her own choices. That self-doubt she feels may sting her pride, but it will also open her eyes to the kind of man you were and still are. So here's my piercing question for you. Do you have the discipline to let her sit in her own doubt without rescuing her from it? Can you watch her struggle with the realization of what she lost without running back to soothe her? Because only the man who resists the temptation to save her can truly earn her respect, her desire, and her accountability. If you interfere, she forgets her fault. If you hold your ground, she never forgets you. 7. The silence that haunts her. When you walk away and stay silent, it doesn't just leave a gap in her life. It leaves an echo. That echo follows her into her quietest moments, into the spaces where she thought she'd feel relief, into the nights when she believed she'd sleep peacefully without you. Silence has a way of haunting because it denies her the closure she craves. She wants answers. She wants to know why you left, what you're thinking, if you still care. But the silence forces her to create her own answers, and those answers often cut deeper than anything you could have said. Silence makes her feel the weight of your absence in ways words never could. The Stoics understood this power deeply. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best answer to anger is silence." In the same way, the best answer to disrespect, to mistreatment, to dishonor in a relationship is often silence, not revenge, not pleading, not shouting. By walking away and refusing to explain yourself endlessly, you teach her that not everything revolves around her understanding. You show her that your peace matters more than her approval. Now, this silence doesn't just haunt her, it redefines you in her mind. She begins to see you as a man who cannot be manipulated by words, tears, or empty apologies. You are no longer the man who reacts. You are the man who chooses. And that is the kind of man women remember forever. Think about it. How often do people forget those who begged, who pleaded, who over-explained? But they never forget the one who left quietly, who disappeared with strength. That silence echoes louder than 1,000 arguments. Here's the raw truth. Women talk, they vent, they seek validation from friends when relationships fall apart. But no matter what she says out loud, when she's alone, it's the silence that gnaws at her. She replays your absence. She rewinds the story. She imagines what you must be doing without her. Every unanswered question becomes a ghost she cannot shake off. And here's my final question for you in this section. Are you strong enough to let your silence speak for you? Most men break the silence because they want to be heard. They want to make her understand. They want to get the last word. But the last word is not power. The last silence is. If you can resist the temptation to break it, you will be remembered not as the man who begged to be understood, but as the man who walked away and let the silence do the talking. That silence becomes the chapter of her life she will never close, no matter how hard she tries. Walking away is not about revenge. It's not about games. And it's not about making her suffer. It's about protecting your dignity and reclaiming your life. When you step away with strength, you awaken emotions in her that range from shock to regret, from desire to self-doubt, until your silence becomes the ghost she cannot forget. But the deeper truth is this. It's not about her feelings. It's about who you become in the process. You see, Antony lost Rome for Cleopatra because he couldn't walk away. But Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire with wisdom because he mastered himself. Which man will you be? The one who gives away his power, or the one who rises above it? Every time you walk away from disrespect, dishonor, or anything that costs your peace, you carve yourself into the kind of man history remembers. That's the real victory. So here's my final challenge. When she looks back, will she remember a man who begged to stay, or a man who walked away with power? Subscribe to this channel, revisit it often, and let's continue building that strength together. Stand tall, walk away when you must, and never forget, the power was always yours. And before you go, remember, what you've just watched is only a small piece of the puzzle. If you're serious about mastering the dating game and building real confidence in modern relationships, don't wait. Visit stoicapproachtolife.com/join now right now and get access to the full teaching. That's where the real transformation